Karine Jean-Pierre has a very tough job. And I'm equal opportunity with this. People hated Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I said, no. They're just doing their job. That's what they have to do. If they don't do it, somebody else will. Now, you could say it attracts people who are, okay with being paid to lie. Sure. All right. Well, that means whoever does it is the punching bag. It's not their fault, but this is brutal. Here she is being asked the day after, or not the day after, the day before yesterday. Did the president undergo any medical treatment after the debate, including a neurological scan? Look at her answer.
After the debate, did the president get examined by a doctor, or did he get a neurological scan?
A neurological scan? Look, what I can say is that, just to take a step back, it was a bad night. We understand that it was a bad night.
Oh, come on.
And the president has spoken to this.
I mean, even the ESL person is like, what the fuck?
What?
Do I have to sign this? Do I really have to sign this?
Did the president take a neurological scan? It sounds like RFK when asked if he sexually assaulted the nanny, right? You can't just say no. You can't just give an answer. Look.
Get examined by a doctor, or did he get a neurological scan?
Well, he did not get nominated as a cogent boy.
That's right. That's right.
Neurological scan? Look, what I can say is that, just to take a step back, it was a bad night. We understand that it was a bad night. And the president has spoken to this. And he understands that. And so I cannot speak to anything beyond what I just shared. The president has regular annual physicals that we release in a thorough report. We're going to continue to do that. I don't have anything else beyond that.
That's your answer? He gets checked out once a year? He gets checked out once a year. He has his annual physicals, neurological scan. Look, here's what I'm going to say. Nothing.
Well, and
absolutely
also
nothing at all.
Well, and also at another point, they ask about cognitive tests, and she says the doctors say that's not indicated at this time. What? Did they really say that? Do they really say that? And if they do say that, how much are they relying on insider connections with Biden world for their careers? Because I can't imagine no unbiased medical professional would say such a thing about a man at that age doing this job, even without all the symptoms.
Oh, of course. No, you have to, right? I mean, that just makes sense. But this gets worse. Now she's asked the next day.
No, and then all the libs will go after Trump's doctors, rightly so, as being yes men. But you don't say that about doctors who say this man doesn't need a cognitive test, that's not indicated by his condition. That's fine. That's okay. Yeah. Trump's doctor telling him he's a warrior poet in the classic sense. That's all right. But that's bad. But this is all right.
Yeah, no, it's just unbelievable. And now the day after that, here she is, or this is yesterday. She's asked, does Biden take an afternoon nap?
Have an afternoon nap every day.
Let me be very clear about this. This is a president that wakes up every morning and puts the American people first. That's what he does. He does that every single day.
No, the question is not does he wake up every morning and put the American people first. The question is how many times a day does he wake up and put the American people first. Yes. He wakes up in the morning and puts the American people first. He wakes up at noon and puts the American people first. Then he wakes up again at 4 and puts the American. 3 times a day, this president wakes up from a sleep and puts the American people first. Again, she can't just answer, no, he doesn't have a nap. Because he does have a nap. He obviously has a nap. If you're not saying no, that's a yes.
Have an afternoon nap every day.
Let me be very clear about this. This is a president that wakes up every morning and puts the American people first. That's what he does. He does that every single day. That is his focus. I am not going to speak to sources out there, unnamed sources out there. That's not what I'm going to speak to. I'm going to speak to what I know, what this president does, and how he is committed to the work of the president, of the commander-in-chief. And his record clearly lays that out and speaks to it. And that's what he's going to continue to do. The American people first, and delivering for them.
Again,
Wow.
you can't
That's a
answer,
tough
does he
gig.
take a nap? You can't answer, does he take a nap? This is why he's done. This is going to be every day now. Every day until he drops out. If he stays in through November, this is going to be every day. This is going to be every single day he's a candidate. Every press conference is going to be questions like that. You're not going to be able to shake it off. It's not going to happen. Here's the last one. This is when she blames his debate performance on jet lag and a cold.
Yeah.
That international travel can be rigorous. I think the
Only 2 weeks
confusion
ago.
is that he's still suffering from the effects of that nearly 2 weeks later. So can you articulate a little bit about, like, do you guys usually have accommodations for him after he does a trip, that he's going to have jet lag for that long a period of time?
So can you, when you say 2 weeks later, what do you mean?
Well, the debate, he arrives back in the United States 12 or 13 days before the debate. So his explanation for a poor debate performance is jet lag.
So what I want to say is it's the jet lag and also the cold, right? It is the two things, and that occurred. And you all heard it in his voice when he did the debate, right? And it is not even something that we shared ahead of time. You heard it in his voice and we confirmed it. And I think that's important to note as well. Like, it is the jet lag and the cold.
Again, every time it's not tenable. It's not tenable. You cannot have this. You cannot run a campaign like that. There is absolutely no way this guy can make it through.
Well, yeah, especially because, as we're going to see, I think in the next segment, the money people are running for the hills.
Yeah.
And they're just, and that's who really runs the party in the end. It's the money people, and they're just going to demand, in order to try to take the House and keep the Senate, that he's got to go.
Yeah. I mean, you can't have a situation where your press secretary can't even answer any questions about your health. Still, this is a week ago. This is 1 week now, and they are not even answering any questions. They're not saying, yes, he did have a neurological exam and he passed it. They're not saying anything because it's so obvious what's happening, and they're not going to be able to filibuster like this through November without the polls collapsing even more. And they're already collapsing past the point where Biden is viable. They're already collapsing past the point where you can really say this guy has even a 20% chance or even a 10% chance. If that internal polling is correct, and that's Democratic internal polling, so if anything, that is probably skewed in the Democrats' favor if there's an error there. There's just no way. And when your press team cannot answer the most basic questions, do you take a nap every day? She can't say no. That means he takes a nap. I mean, that's it. That means he can't get through a day without a nap. So like, who do you think you're fooling here? You're fooling nobody. You're not even trying to fool anybody. You're not even lying. You're going out there and you're just saying, well, I can't answer that.
Well, Axios did a great article about the way they have been shielding Biden from the beginning, that they kind of used the COVID wall where they had the excuse of COVID to keep everyone away from him, and
Right.
they just never stopped doing it, to the extent even the White House staff, the people who cook and lay out clothes, are not allowed near him. They're not allowed to interact with him. It's really like a dark satire. You could see someone pitching this movie if it hadn't actually happened. Okay, so you've got a president who is just completely gone, but they have to pretend that he's still the president. That's the comedy of it, right? They have to, anytime someone wants to speak to him, they have to hide him. That's why I used in my mashup a clip from Being There, because that's very much what Being There is, where
Right.
people, project wisdom onto this guy who's actually mentally handicapped. They think he's very wise. According to this Axios article, that's how this White House has been run. Like, basically the family, the staff that have been with him for decades have just been keeping him away from people so that they don't realize how mentally impaired he is. We've been hearing stories from foreign leaders for a while now, particularly on this last trip, that his condition is frightening.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
this was
that's
it.
what Carl Bernstein said. We covered that on the last show. He said, I
Right.
know people in the inner circle who said, and this was just the accounts that he was told about at least 15 times over the past year, right? And we know
Right.
the number's a lot higher than that, but those are the incidents that were recalled to Carl Bernstein. So he's saying, I've been told over a dozen times over the past year that this is a huge problem. But you're right. The way they have hid this is they've kept him relatively isolated.
Right. I think they rolled the dice with that debate. I think it was partly a test, but I think it was also they felt like they got away with the State of the Union.
Right.
Maybe they'll get away with this,
Right.
and then it'll put all that to bed.
Yep. You're right. I mean, they could have just taken a gamble, and they lost. You win some, you lose some.
Please clap.